Welcome. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath in and out. Let the sound of rain outside your window wrap around you like a soft blanket. Tonight, we are going on a quiet journey into the past. A journey not about kings or battles, but about something much smaller. Something we all do every single day without thinking. We are going to explore the history of cleaning our teeth. Imagine a world without toothpaste tubes, without plastic toothbrushes, without electric buzzing in the morning. How did people keep their teeth clean? How did they fight the pain of cavities? And what did they use when there was no dentist on the corner? In this hour, we will travel slowly through time. From the ancient Egyptians to the Victorians. From soot and salt to the very first mass-produced toothbrush. There will be no loud noises, no sudden surprises. Just gentle stories of how humans learned to care for their smiles. So settle into your bed, pull the covers up to your chin, and let your mind drift. The rain is falling softly. The fire is crackling. And we begin with the oldest smile of all. Long before the 1800s, people knew they needed to clean their teeth. They did not have nylon bristles or plastic handles. But they had something else. Resourcefulness. The earliest toothbrushes were simply sticks. You have probably seen something like them in movies about ancient times. A thin twig from a special tree, like the neem or the arak tree. One end was chewed until it became soft, like a brush. Then the person would rub that soft end against their teeth. It removed food and plaque. And it also made the breath smell fresher. These sticks were called chew sticks. And they were used for thousands of years. In ancient Babylon, in Egypt, in China, in India. Even in the early Islamic world. Imagine a man in ancient Egypt, waking up as the sun rises over the Nile. He walks to the river, dips his chew stick in the water, and spends a quiet minute rubbing his teeth. No foam, no minty taste. Just the simple feeling of clean. The ancient Romans used a different method. They would rub their teeth with a powder made from crushed oyster shells or eggshells, mixed with honey or charcoal. It was gritty, and it worked, but it also wore down the enamel over time. They did not know that. They only knew that their teeth felt smoother after. And then, around the year 1498, something new appeared in China. The first brush that looks like what we use today. A handle made of bamboo or bone. And bristles made from the coarse hairs of a hog's neck. These hairs were stiff and strong. They were attached to the handle with tiny holes and wire. The first real toothbrush had been born. It traveled to Europe through traders and travelers. By the 1600s, rich people in France and England were using hog hair toothbrushes. But they were expensive. Most people still used a rag with soot or salt. So when we think of the 1800s, we have to remember. The toothbrush existed, but it was not yet for everyone. It was a luxury. And the pastes and powders, oh, they were strange. Let us talk about those next. Now let us step into a small pharmacy in London in the year 1820. The shop is dark, lit by a single oil lamp. The shelves are filled with glass jars. One jar is labeled dentifrice powder. You ask the shopkeeper what is inside. He smiles and shows you a brownish powder that smells of mint and something smoky. In the 1800s, people cleaned their teeth with powders, not pastes. A paste was rare and expensive. The powder was usually made from crushed chalk, charcoal, or even brick dust. Yes, brick dust. People believed that rough powders scrubbed the teeth better. They were not entirely wrong. But brick dust was so harsh that it wore away the enamel very quickly. Many people in the 1800s had teeth that were ground down to the gums by the time they were 40. What else went into these powders? Let me list them slowly, like a lullaby of strange ingredients. Myrrh, a tree resin that smells sweet and bitter. Cinnamon, for fresh breath. Alum, a mineral that tastes sour and makes the mouth pucker. Dragon's blood, do not worry. It was not real blood. It was another tree resin that gave a red color. And sometimes, believe it or not, they added sugar. Sugar to make the powder taste better. But sugar causes cavities. So people were brushing their teeth with a sweet powder that actually made their teeth rot faster. They did not know that yet. The very first mass-produced toothpaste in a jar appeared in 1824. It was called dentifrice and was sold by a dentist named Peabody. But it was still a powder mixed with water. Real toothpaste in a collapsible tube did not come until 1892 at the very end of the Victorian era. So for most of the 1800s, people took a damp toothbrush, dipped it into a small bowl of powder, and scrubbed. Then they rinsed with water. Some rinsed with brandy or vinegar, believing it would kill germs. It did, but it also burned the gums. Now, let us pause here for a few seconds. Listen to the rain. Imagine that dim pharmacy, the smell of cinnamon and chalk. And then we will move to something many people fear. The dentist of the 1800s. What if you had no toothbrush and no powder? What if you were a farmer in rural America in 1820 miles from any town? You still needed to clean your teeth. So you used whatever was around you. The simplest method was a clean rag. You would wrap a piece of linen or cotton around your finger. Then you would dip it in with ash, or salt, or even just water. And you would rub each tooth one by one. The rag was soft, so it did not hurt the gums. But it also did not clean very well between the teeth. For that, people used toothpicks. Not the plastic ones we have today. They used slivers of wood, goose feathers, or even silver picks if they were rich. Another common method was rinsing. People would swish water in their mouths for a long time, sometimes mixed with vinegar or a little whiskey. They believed that strong liquids killed the tooth worms. Yes, for centuries, people thought cavities were caused by tiny worms living inside the teeth. That idea goes back to ancient Mesopotamia, and it survived all the way into the 1800s. Some old medical books from 1820 still talk about dental worms. So when you rinsed with something strong and felt a sting, you thought you were killing the worms. In reality, you were just irritating your gums. In some cultures, people use twigs from specific trees. The meswak stick, still used in many parts of the world today, was common in the Middle East and South Asia. It comes from the Salvadora persica tree. Chewing on it releases natural compounds that fight bacteria. And it works surprisingly well. Even today, studies show that meswak is as effective as a toothbrush for some people. But in the 1800s, an American or European farmer would not have meswak. They had oak twigs or maple twigs. They would chew one end until it frayed, and then use it like a brush. It was free. It was natural. And it was enough. Now, let us rest here for a moment. Think about the simplicity of a twig and a rag. No factories, no plastic waste. Just a quiet moment of care. And then we will travel to the end of the 1800s, when everything changed. The year is 1780. A man named William Addis is sitting in a prison cell in England. He has been arrested for starting a riot. To pass the time, he takes a bone left over from his meal. He drills small holes into it. Then he takes some bristles from a broom, ties them into tufts, and pushes them into the holes. He glues them in place. He has just made the first mass-produced toothbrush. But he does not know it yet. When Addis gets out of prison, he starts a small business. He makes toothbrushes by hand. His company grows slowly. By the 1800s, the Addis toothbrush is known in London. But it is still a luxury. A single toothbrush costs a week's wages for a poor worker. So only the rich use them. Everyone else still uses rags and twigs. Then, in 1845, something changes. A man named Meyer Rhine in New York starts making toothbrushes with wooden handles and pig bristles. He uses machines to drill the holes faster. The price drops. By the 1850s, a toothbrush costs about a day's wage. Still not cheap, but more affordable. The rail revolution comes in 1938 after the 1800s, of course, when nylon bristles are invented. But inside the 1800s, the toothbrush remained a natural product. The handles were made of cow bone, ox bone, or wood. The bristles were hog hair. And hog hair had a problem. It stayed wet for a long time, and bacteria grew on it. So people had to replace their toothbrush often. But they did not know about bacteria. They just knew that the bristles became soft and smelly after a few months. So they threw them away and bought a new one. By the 1890s, toothbrushes were common in American and European homes. Advertisements showed smiling families with clean white teeth, even though most people's teeth were far from white. But the idea was planted. Brushing your teeth every day was becoming a normal habit. Now, let the rain fall a little harder. Imagine the first advertisements, the bone handles, the smell of pig bristles. And then we will move to the final chapter. What the Victorians did for their smile. The Victorian era from 1837 to 1901 was a time of great change. Factories, railways, and a growing middle class. People had more money to spend on personal care. And they wanted nice smiles. But their methods were still strange to us. Many Victorians believed that a healthy smile was a sign of good character. So they went to great lengths to whiten their teeth. One popular method was to rub the teeth with lemon juice and salt. The acid in the lemon did whiten the teeth by eating away the top layer of enamel. So their teeth looked whiter for a few weeks, but then they became more sensitive and yellowed faster. Another method was to use a paste made from honey and pumice. Pumice is a volcanic rock ground into a fine powder. It is very abrasive. Today, we would never put pumice on our teeth. But the Victorians did not know better. Some wealthy Victorians would visit a dental mechanic. This was a person who made fake teeth out of ivory or porcelain. If your teeth were rotten, you could have them pulled and replaced with dentures. But the dentures were uncomfortable. They were held in place by springs or by tying them to neighboring teeth. And they had to be removed and cleaned every night. Imagine sleeping with a set of ivory teeth and a glass of water on your nightstand. That was normal. For the poor, tooth loss was just a part of life. By age 40, many working-class people had few teeth left. They ate soft foods like porridge, soup, and bread soaked in milk. And they smiled with their lips closed. Photographs from the 1800s rarely show people smiling with open mouths. Not because they were unhappy, but because they were embarrassed by their teeth. And yet, even with all these problems, the 1800s laid the foundation for modern dental care. The first toothbrush factories. The first toothpaste in a tube. The first dental schools. And the idea that everyone rich or poor deserves a clean smile. And so we come to the end of our quiet journey. We have walked through ancient Egypt, Rome, China, and Victorian London. We have seen chew sticks and hot hair brushes, brick dust and lemon juice. We have heard the crack of the dental key and the soft swish of a vinegar rinse. Through all of it, one thing remains. The simple, daily act of caring for our teeth. A small ritual that connects us to millions of people who lived before us. Now, let your body sink deeper into your bed. The rain is slowing down. The fire is fading to glowing embers. You have learned something new, but your mind does not need to hold on to it. Just let the facts drift away like clouds. Let your breathing become soft and even. There is nothing you need to do. Nothing you need to remember. Just rest. If you wake up in the middle of the night, know that you are safe. The past is far away. And your smile is just fine the way it is. Good night. Sleep deeply. And let history carry you into dreams.